back to Chewing the Rag. This is our first episode in 2 weeks, I think. I think the last episode we did was with Mike Valeni, which got a lot of good response, a lot of new subscribers, new followers, and whatnot from that. So I appreciate him for even coming on, and I appreciate everybody who hopefully is sticking around to see what else we do on here. Today's a solo episode. It's we're gonna recap the comedy event that I was talking about for a while, and then go into why I have been on a little bit of a hiatus. It was only 2 weeks, so I don't think anybody missed me much. I wouldn't, so it's whatever. And then we're just gonna bullshit. We got a couple of questions, I think, maybe just one actually. We got a question from somebody that listens frequently, so I'm looking forward to answering that. But in the meantime, just want to do a couple quick shout outs. W.GG for energy drinks. It's jitter free energy. They got a hydration tub that I got as well. It's like the Monkey Madness, or actually, I think they're getting rid of that. So if there's any on there, make sure you get that hydration tub. I think they're doing a revamp on there. Double insulated steel tumblers, that's on there. Like I said, jitter free energy. I really like it. When I was drinking it, I just ran out. Unfortunately, I was down to one cup of coffee a day, and I was good. I've noticed without that, I want to stop and get a coffee in the morning on top of the coffee I bring from home. So, and then even right now, I'm like, damn, I could really go for a cup of coffee. So definitely check out Dubby and use promo code Chewin. So Dubby.gg, and then at checkout use promo code Chewin. That's CHEWIN. There's no G, just like the podcast name, Chewin, for 10% off your order. Also, merch. I'm wearing the hat right now, and there's going to be Halloween merch. So a couple Halloween designs. There's a Halloween catalog. I'm looking forward to putting that out. That should be out by the time this episode comes out. So go to chewintherag.com and click the merch link. And that's also where you can get all our platform links and whatnot for you to share with your friends and family and strangers and anyone who will. Just force it onto people, honestly. Just force the podcast, force chewintherag.com, force the merch. Just push it onto people. It's fine. You got this here. I don't know if you can read that. It says, "I'm not doing that, dude." Because I say that a lot when somebody will try to pressure me into doing something, or even work. I'm like, I'm not doing that, dude. So we got that with the little shruggy guy. Shout out to Gren for putting that together. We got the Peaceful Mind. Shout out to Loco for putting that together. And then we just got the logos, which again, shout out to Gren. They do most of my artwork for me. So check that out. And let's just get right into this episode. I was going to do a section where we did that, but whatever. I haven't been here. I haven't recorded. I don't backlog episodes because it feels more organic to just kind of do it. And if I don't do it, then I don't. So this is all as recent. This episode comes out tomorrow. So that you're all caught up. Look at it. We got a couple freshies. Shout out Dan Belcher. Threw on a couple things here. Colored me up here. We just got back here to go. So if you notice, it's looking a little more vibrant. That's because it is more vibrant. I wasn't flexing. Haircut, I came in here fresh. I had to. So we'll get into the depressing stuff first and get it out of the way, because I'm sure people are wondering. My mother passed away 2 weeks ago. So literally Valeni's episode came out, and then I was dealing with that right after. So I was like, I'm just gonna take a break. I was dealing with that. So, and it's weird because if you know me, my jokes revolve around my family a lot, and she's a big part of my stand-up routine. And I talked about her on here, and it wasn't always positive, but that's because the positive stuff isn't funny. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to hear, my mom took me to the Boston Aquarium. It's I don't care. You want to talk about in a comedy sense, people are most comedians they have shit that they were going through. No comedian has a normal, and it's whatever. But obviously that you're only getting that stuff, and it's intentional. I'm not gonna sit here and brag about good things. It's just not. It's not funny. And at my core, I'm always just trying to be funny. And if I'm doing stand up, it's obviously meant to be funny. So, people probably thought like, oh, him and his mom don't have a good relationship, or him and his mom, blah blah blah. But like, that's definitely not true. I would record an episode, tell a story about my mom or whatever, and then like the next day she would come here and visit and hang out with my son. Like it was, it wasn't. My mother and I didn't have a bad relationship at all. I don't want people to think like that was the case. But she did. She passed away. She had health issues and whatnot. So every like hospital trips were pretty normal for her, and then this one was like it was like, hey, you got to come visit your mom. Like, you got to get here. There's no like, I'm gonna try to make it, and then I can't make it today. They're like, you got to get here. So that's why I knew something was wrong. And then, sure enough, she was in the hospital one day and then passed away the next day. So that was tough. It still is tough, obviously, but I'm just one of those people where it's like, you gotta let me. I grieve, like Kendrick Lamar says, I grieve different. But like, I do. You gotta give me like a week to just kind of melt. I'll melt my brain in like my phone, or like I'll melt my brain on my PlayStation. I'll just sit there and I'll melt, and then like next week I'll bounce back. That's just it'll happen like literally. It'll be like you're sulking Wednesday, Thursday you pop up, you're chilling. Like it's just how I get through things. Probably not healthy. I'm not gonna sit here and talk. I don't want to talk about my feelings. I don't want to talk about like how I felt when I walked in the hospital, what I saw. Like it's yeah, it doesn't. That's not how I recover from things. It's never how I've been. I want to go. First thing I did was I gave my dad a hug, and he's 6'6", whatever, and I gave him a hug, and because I'm 5'9", his shoulder was like in my neck, and he's like hugging me tight, and he's like choking me, and when we were done, I was like, you're too tall to be giving hugs like that. You gotta chill. Like it was just immediately I'm trying to break the ice and like make something funny in moments that aren't funny, because like I feel like I have to. It's how I just get through things. I want to tell jokes. And I think I try to like upbring, because dude, I'm gonna fucking sorry for everybody who has to hear that. I hope nobody listens to this thing with headphones, because the noises that like go on through this house. My dog's licking his paw right next to me. Ollie, stop. The noises that go on in this house. If you pick that up, that's gonna drive you insane. But yeah, I just want to get through it how I do. Again, it's probably not a healthy way that I do things. I distract myself, melt myself, wake up. I'm fine eventually. I'm never fine, but as fine as you can be. Eventually, you got to just kind of get through what you're going through. So rest in peace, Mom, and love you. I did get to say that to her at least the day before she died. She was on a machine, and it was really weird because like you go in, it's like it's like Darth Vader. And I went and visited her with my wife, and I go in, and she saw I was there. She said she loves me, and like I love her too. And I was like, you gotta stop talking though. Like I felt like she was straining, and I'll feel a little bit bad about that for a while. But I wasn't trying to tell her like shut up. I was just letting her know like I don't want you in pain. Like I do love you. I'd like to sit here and have a conversation with you, but I'd rather you not pain yourself. So, it is what it is. It was weird, and it's gonna be weird, and it's right before like a couple weeks before my son's birthday, which is sad, and then a couple months before Christmas and everything else. So it'll be weird at these milestone moments, but and it's cliche. I hate cliches. I don't like the people who like. No offense against anybody who's like religious or anything. No offense to anybody, but I don't like the she's in a better place now. People, I don't like that. I don't like when like a fucking cardinal, if I'm driving and a cardinal lands on a tree at like a red light, a fucking bush at the red light. I don't like the whole like that's your mom. Like that's a fucking bird. I don't do this whole that doesn't work for me. It's not the only thing that's like the cliche that works for me is those hospital trips that I was talking about earlier. They're put to an end, and that's cool. Like that's good. That's leave it at that. I don't the whole she's in a better place now. She's cremated, she's in a fucking urn. That just doesn't feel like a better place for me. A fucking bird. I don't like birds. I work in a fucking warehouse with the overhead door open all the time, and birds come in and they fucking chirp my ear off. I don't like birds. I don't want my mom to be a fucking cardinal near me. Okay, that's just a bird. Birds aren't real. It's a fucking government drone. Hi, Ollie. Came at a good time. So like none of that shit works for me. I don't deal with. I can't do that shit. Say like my condolences. sorry for your loss. Thoughts and prayers. That's fine. If you want to send a thought or a prayer my way and you mean it, cool. I don't care if you're religious. That's fine. I respect that 100%. I'm not. That shit just doesn't work for me. Don't hit me with any of the cliches. Just sorry for your loss. Move the fuck on. Like, people were like, is there anything I could do? And it's like, no. Are you gonna give me a mom? You have a mom laying around that I could have? You don't? All right, then probably not, dude. Just don't treat anything. I told all my friends who would reach out and say that shit. I would just say, like, don't treat me any differently than you did 2 weeks ago, yesterday. Like, just go about it. We just keep shit how shit is. Don't treat anything differently. And that's what works for me. So just a little bit of a ramble on how my fucking brain works, because I'm sure anybody who saw me in those 2 weeks was like, which probably wasn't many people. I really kind of just, like I said, hermited and melted my brain. It was like, I don't know how to help them. You can't. You just got to let me fucking sit for a little bit and I'll be all right. So that's that. She also passed right before the fucking Cairo comedy thing, which that's just a trend in my life. My grandmother passed. So the first time I did comedy in New York City, not like it was like a big deal, but it was a bringer show and it was New York City. So like it was a big deal in the sense that, like, I was going to the city. I had a couple friends with me. My wife was with me. So like it was a big deal in that sense. And literally the morning of, I may have talked about this on here, and if I did, I apologize, but I got a lot of new subscribers and listeners. So I got a phone call at like 5 a.m. that morning, and I was getting on a Greyhound in a few hours. Didn't even take the train because I'm a fucking idiot. But I was getting on a Greyhound in a few hours, and I get a phone call from my mom letting me know my grandmother passed. And it was literally like, it was that thing where it was like, I just talked to her yesterday. Like, I did. I talked to her the day before. We were talking about, she was saying like how great of a gift she was going to get me for my wedding in a few months, because it was February and I was getting married in May. And she was talking about how, like, she wanted to go to the comedy thing the next day, tomorrow. She's like, I'll let you know, because she worked at Amtrak, which I've talked about on here, is like the obsession with trains in this house. She worked at Amtrak, and she was gonna try to, like, she's like, don't, if you can't, if you got the bus tickets, it's fine, but I'll see if I can get us all a train to go down. So it was a whole thing there. And then, like, the next day I get a phone call at 5 a.m. Hey, your grandmother passed. And it's like, fuck, what do I do? Go in the bathroom, cry for 20 minutes. And then it's like, all right, well, I have to get on a fucking Greyhound in 3 hours. So it's one of those, like, just distract, just go. And then I went down. It was actually a really good show. Not the Cairo thing. This is still talking New York City. The Cairo thing was not that great. It was a really good show. And then the next day I hosted, because it was a Wednesday. The next day I hosted the Comedy Works open mic. And that was a little, like, I forgot that. So it's a sign up list, and you look at it before you get on. So you're not bringing the clipboard up. You open up, you do a couple jokes to a cold crowd. And I fucking forgot the first person who signed up. And I should have known, because it was Dan Guerin. Shout out Dan Guerin. He's a great comic from the Albany area. Check him out. But he always signed up first. Like, he wanted to get on early. He's not an old man, Dan. Don't fucking beat me up. But he's an older gentleman. The family didn't want to be out till late. I get it. But yeah, it was him. And then I was just like bombing. I was forgetting stuff. And then that's when it was like, all right, well, let me just post it on Facebook. Like, hey, my grandmother passed away. Well, yeah, blah, blah, blah. So it's just like, anytime there was a comedy milestone, like the New York City thing's a little bit of a milestone. It wasn't really, because it was just a bringer, but it was in the sense that I was spending the day in the city and then doing a show, whatever. It was the first time doing comedy down there outside of this area. So that's what I mean in the sense of a milestone. And then this one was the first time I was doing comedy in 4 or 5 years, since my son was born, pretty much. A little bit before, but yeah, 4 or 5 years. And then it was also my first time doing, like, something like that. Like, he's seen me with a mic here and shit like that, but like, first time he was gonna see me do stand-up comedy or anything like that. So let's get into that nonsense. So already that week's shot, but I'm feeling good that morning. Everything's all right. I was a little sick. Not really. My son was, we were getting over being sick, so it wasn't like anything contagious or anything, but it was just like that lingering, like, ugh, you know. But I was feeling good that morning. We were both feeling pretty good. We went. Um, I had maybe 7-ish people there for me specifically. So first of all, you get there. I get out of my SUV. I got my wife, my son. I got a hat on. It's not this, but I had a hat on, Timberland shirt, Nike shoes. You know what I mean? And it's Cairo, however the fuck you say it, New York. And these guys are all wearing like those Facebook T-shirts you get, where like if my last name's Pickett, it's like I'm a Pickett. We fucking, you want us by your side. You want us. You got my back. I got yours. Salute all the Picketts out there, like those fucking guys, you know, or like those guys who have like the fucking, we kneel for the cross, stand for the fallen, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Jesus Christ, you know, I get it. I understand. But like, it was all those guys with the fucking FJB stickers on their trucks and the fucking lifted trucks. You guys heard me talk about that already. I already got that community mad at me, so let's not do all that. But it was those guys, and that's just not my demographic. But I was like, whatever. It was advertised that a comedian's coming. I'm gonna do the fucking show. And as a comedian, you're not always going to have a demographic that's meant for you. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to go into these rooms and it's like, you got to just perform. So that's what I was going to do. I went up, I got there early, shook some hands, blah, 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 waited for my people to get there. So like I said, I had about 7 people there. I was supposed to go on stage at noon. Already not a fan of that. The event started at noon. So it's like I was cold opening for people who were just kind of walking in. It's at a brewery, but, you know, they haven't really had time to get a drink in them yet. Comedy's always going to be better at night after some drinks and whatnot. It's just how it goes. So I'm waiting around. It's by noon, the band, because I was opening up and then a band was just going to play. The band is still setting up. They're like strumming, they're warming up, like, and then they just start jamming. It's like 12:20 now, and they're like playing, and I'm like, the guy putting on the show, and I'm not bad mouthing him. I'm not bad mouthing the event. The event was great. I'll disclaimer all this as I go through. This is not. I had fun. It was a good event. It benefited hospice. I don't know about the We Heart Hospice shirts. I don't think I would do that. I get what you were trying to do, but I just feel like there's better wording out there. You know, it's like if you were doing a lung cancer event and you're like, I heart lung cancer. Like, that's not great. What are you, my grandmother? That's not. She was a 2-pack-a-day smoker. That's I heart lung cancer, 2-pack-a-day smoker. That's like 3 people would have understood that, but it's fine. But I just don't think I would have went with I heart hospice as my T-shirt slogan. It's just not for me. Probably would have put something together, you know. But that's not my business. So it's like 12:20 and he finds me. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, hey, look, if you're worried about getting paid, I'm still gonna pay. And I'm like, no, it's not that. I don't care about the money. Pay me. But I'm like, no, I just, you know, I'm here. Like I probably would have come here. Like I want to do comedy, you know. And he's like, yeah, I get it. So I'm like, hey, can you just like maybe go talk to the band, see what's going on, and just let them know like I'm supposed to go on. I'll do, you know, I won't even do the full hour. Like, yes, thank fucking Christ, you know. He goes, yeah, I'll go talk to him. So he goes, he talks to them. They're talking for a little bit. And then he comes back to me. He goes, all right, you're up. All right, so do I just go? He's like, yeah, just go on up. So I go up there. The band's up there. He's like, you plan on walking around? First mistake was I said no. So they had a mic set up already with the wire wrapped, you know, how you would, the tape. And he's like, all right, good. Because I would have set you up a new mic, no problem. But I just want to make sure. Now, right there, I should have said, oh, if you can do that, then sure, let's do that. I didn't. Strike one on me because, and I'll find some clips. Maybe I'll post it right here as I'm describing it. But like, I like to walk back and forth on stage. I whip the fucking mic wire behind me. Like, I have a whole little swagger to me. As Milton says, he's like, don't ever lose that. Well, I lost it, fucker, because I left it in a fucking mic stand. So I have a little bit of swagger to me when I'm on stage. Not that I could have there anyway. That was another thing. It was just kind of in the corner of a brewery, not a stage, nowhere to really walk around. So, which is fine. That's how like a lot of brewery shows are. But not. It's just like for me, I pace a lot. I mean, you see me here. I'm looking around. I'm flailing. My fucking hands are going around. I just don't sit still. So it is what it is. That was strike one on me. That's my bad. I should have said yeah. I could have moved around a little bit. Strike two is there was no host. So again, not shitting on anybody, but like if you host a comedy event, before you put the first comic on, you should usually have, unless you are the host, which I wasn't hosting, I was an act. So like, if you're the host, you would go up, hey, how's everybody doing? You guys ready for some comedy tonight? Ho, ho, ho. Okay. And then you do like your fucking 5-minute open, get the crowd a little warmed up, and then you get your feature on before, blah, 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 whatever. But this, what I would suggest in the future would be like, even if there was only one comic, him go up there, say a few words and be like, hey, thanks to everybody for coming out. Just want to let you guys know, sorry for the late start. We have a comedian. He's going to come on before the band. If you guys want to just give a round of applause for blah, 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 or like talk about what he's doing for the hospice, talk about the barbecue, talk about anything, and then bring me on, people warm up that way. It's just a natural warm up. So instead, I go up there and hey, check, this thing working? Can you guys hear me? I have to ask that because there's 4 empty tables in front of me. And then at the back of the room, there's people at the bar. And then there's like 2 tables with like people with their kids and stuff. So already horrible seating situation. Now, this wasn't on them because there were tables in front. It's just nobody wanted to sit up front. Why? I don't know. But it's like, that's another thing in regards to like, close the bar, turn the TVs off, have people sit up front. Don't close the bar in the sense of don't get people drinks. I want people drinking. But like, hey guys, let's go fill up, let's seat people. Hey, let's go fill up these seats. Somebody's going to perform. Let's come fill up the seats, fill up the room so that they're right in front of me. Because there's probably about over 20 people there. And I'm talking to empty tables and a couple faces deep back. And it's like, that's not how it works. So now I'm like, fuck, okay. And I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm just gonna come up here and tell a few jokes, or like I'm introducing myself. That was strange to me. I mean, I don't really introduce myself on here, I'm not like, hey, my name's Chris, welcome to Chewing the Rag, or this is Chewing the Rag, blah, blah, blah. And maybe sometimes I do because I fucking have ADHD or whatever, and I can't fucking figure out how to start a show up. But yeah, it just right there. It was like, okay, so now I'm up front, and they had the vocalist had a little fan underneath to keep himself cool, which makes sense. I didn't like that. I should have asked him to shut it off because the whole time I'm doing it, my shirt's blowing out. I look like I'm already a big guy, and my shirt's like puffing out, filled with air. And so I was already kind of uncomfortable with that. Uncomfortable with the fact that I'm talking to just faces from deep, and a couple, like 3 guys from the band, I think, or I don't even know who the hell they were sitting nearby, probably making sure I don't take their shit. But yeah, I don't. And then I just bombed, and people were like, my wife and my buddies, they were like, oh man, you did good. You did good. A couple people from work. Oh, you did good. It was a bomb. It was not good. I have video. Like, you can't fool me. He said, people were laughing. And I'm like, I don't know if they were. I couldn't fucking hear. I'm all the way up here. I can only hear myself. It's like, so like I'm taking these pause breaks, hoping that there's laughter. And it doesn't really sound like there was. I could hear a couple laughs. But like my closer, so these were for sure religious people. I was told not to swear much. I did a pretty good job with that, I think. I don't think I swore at all. Even my closing joke, which like requires the word bitch, I didn't even do that part of the joke. But the weed stuff, I think, was pushing people away. I had jokes about, my dad smoking weed and whatnot, things I've talked about on here. I'll post. But my closing joke, like, there's a reason I close with it. It almost always gets laughs. And this was like crickets. And I was like, okay, this that was fucking. I'll post it. I don't give a shit. I'll post a clip in here somewhere.
I still struggle with how to talk to children. He's my first son. My brothers were close enough in age where I didn't really have to talk to younger kids. So the only real experience I have was with my youngest cousin, who's about probably 13 now. Our grandmother passed away, and he was about 8 years old. And he goes, we're at her services. He goes, Dad, Mom says Grandma's in heaven. So I'm like, yeah, here we go. We'll have this conversation. Obviously I had it with your mom, but let's do this. I'm like, yeah, sure, buddy, Grandma's in heaven. He goes, Mom says, eventually we all go to heaven. And I'm like, yeah, sure, buddy. Eventually we all go to heaven. And he goes, does that mean one day I'm going to go to heaven? And now I got to break it to the kid, because what am I going to do, right? So I look at him and I go, Evan, I'm sorry, but you were born a boy. And that means one day you're going to be a man. And I don't think any of the men in my family have ever gone to heaven.
But all in all, the event itself, the food was good, the barbecue was good, the brewery it was a nice brewery. It's somewhere that I would go back to. I didn't have any of the food from the brewery, but my buddy did, and him and his girlfriend said it was good food, so that's good. Their drink selection was really good. Thomas, who put the event on, was a really nice guy. The band was good. If you like that music, I don't like country music. I've talked about it on here. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. They opened up with the Pledge of Allegiance thing. I don't really know what that was about, and it's fine. It's just not for me. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. But musically, like, listen, if you have an ear for music, it was good. So yeah, everything, it rained, which wasn't that great considering it was a fucking barbecue competition. So it was outdoors a lot. If you wanted to go get a plate and everything, it was outdoors. But all in all, the event was organized well. Just a couple of things that I would do differently. I'm big on like not shutting the fuck up in regards to promotion. Like, I had to find the flyer. It wasn't sent to me, and then I wasn't on the flyer because it was the same flyer from last year. The guy said like, I told my nephew to put it together, and he just reused the one from last year because it was all the same details. Didn't put you on there. I was like, that's fine. I'll just throw my own name on there. Like, it's not a big deal to me. I'm just, for me, me and Mike talked about this. Promote your shit. If you have something or you have an event, you want people to go to it, you got to kind of put yourself out there and do it. Social media is just not enough. So like having physical flyers and whatnot is a big deal. Like I have always, even me and Casey, when we did Magoo's, we flyered. Like we went to a Rock the Block or whatever the fuck they're called, and we handed out flyers and told people like, hey, there's comedy on this block in a couple weeks or whatever. So like for me, that's a big deal. Like I harass people about this. I wear my own fucking merch. Like I'm always doing something to market. So I definitely would have wanted to see more marketing. Got a hair in my mouth. That's good. The host thing that drove me insane, having to go up, and it's not even like you think you can introduce yourself? No, absolutely I can. It's just like you can just tell when somebody's new. Again, not shit talking it. This is just a couple things that I noticed. It was like, it would have been cool to have that structure. If you're gonna do, it's not a comedy show. I get it. It's a event that you're having a comedian at, but you kind of need to just put. And this. So I got a text, I think Wednesday. The event was on a Sunday. I think I got a text like Wednesday or Thursday saying, or no, it was a Tuesday. It was Tuesday. I can't remember. Fuck it. But my cousin, he knows the guy, texted me and said, hey, the event's off. And I said, are you fucking serious? It was Thursday. He said, yeah, it's off. And I was like, are you 100? I said, are you 1,000% positive it's off? Because if it is, I'm going to try to salvage this weekend because, I've been advertising and talking. And he's like, yep. And I was like, okay. So I messaged Casey. This is why I brought him up. I brought him up in a jog memory on this. I fucking forgot about this whole fiasco. So I messaged Casey and I'm like, yo, you want to do comedy? Like, I don't know what else to do, but I've been telling people I want to do comedy. I wrote all this shit out. Like I'm ready. Like, you want to do something? So we were trying to find a venue. We were going to try to move it to a Saturday instead of a Sunday to benefit, NFL Sunday. People just have work Monday. So like Saturday just made a lot of sense to do that. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I could probably get a couple people. We were trying to just make something happen. We didn't, but that's okay because, and then I get a text like a day or two later, and it's like, hey, it was a Tuesday. I was at work actually. It was a Tuesday. Wednesday is when my mom was at the hospital. Thursday she passed. I got a text Thursday or Friday saying it was back on. Or no, I got a text Wednesday saying it was back on. Minor details. I always hate when people do this to me, and I'm doing it to you guys, but I'm just trying to be transparent. I'm also just jogging my memory for the past 2 weeks because it's been a lot. But so Tuesday I get a text it's canceled. Wednesday I get a text it's back on. So I got that text in the morning Tuesday. So after Tuesday morning through Wednesday evening, I'm trying to make shit happen for Saturday. Wednesday I get a text, hey, it's back on. Great. This is also, I got that text on the way to the hospital to see my mom. So it's like already on the last thing on my mind is this comedy thing. Although it's also not, because on top of all of this, I am trying to make that happen. So I go, okay, fine. So I text Casey. I'm like, look, the event's back on. He goes, oh, do they need like somebody up front to do a couple minutes? And I wish they did, because that would have been, if like Casey could have came and hosted a little bit, just kind of warmed it up, and then I hopped on, that would have felt a little bit better. But Casey does a lot of dirty stuff, and he was like, yeah, that'll be an issue. And I was like, yeah, I guess it would. But so that whole thing happened. So the event was canceled and then put back on, and then all the stuff that happened within the event. I have it recorded. I record all my stuff. Chris McKay, Dark Horse 6 on here. Set it up. I brought my tripod. He recorded it, sent it to me. And it's not great. It's really not. I was going to upload it. First of all, if it was going well, I was going to stay up there as long as I could, get my jokes in, crowd work, just like mess around with people. But it wasn't going well. I think I was up there. It was supposed to be one of my longest sets. It was supposed to be my longest set. It definitely would have been if I was able to pace these jokes better, but I was just cruising through them because it wasn't going great, and I just wanted to get the fuck off stage. So made a little bit of money. Told a few jokes. I'm not gonna say I didn't get any laughs, because I definitely got laughs, but it's not what it should have been. It's not what it would have been. You know, these same jokes, I guarantee if I did a show, this Saturday, and I had host, if I had 3 people, even if it was me, somebody, then somebody, or somebody, me, somebody, then me, I guarantee that same set list would do great. And it's fine. Like, I'm not blaming the room. I'm just blaming the whole situation. Between like my mother and having to rapid fire these jokes and going on late or later than I was supposed to, and not having the people up front, the demographic, I think everything just kind of snowballed. So where I would have got laughs, I got chuckles, and it's like, chuckles are okay. I don't want to go up there for chuckles. I can get chuckles here. I can get chuckles on fucking PlayStation on a stream. Like, I can do that wherever. I want laughs. I want it to be something better than it was. And I'm blaming myself for, I probably should have talked to the person putting this on, and like got a little bit more intel on, how he thought it was going to go and whatnot, seating arrangements, how I should have gave suggestions on like seating arrangements and whatnot, just knowing that, he didn't have a comic on there before. So that's on me. I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming the event itself. Was great. I would not like to do it again. I was going to say I would do it again. I don't think I would. I would do comedy at that brewery though. It was a really nice brewery, and everybody there was kind, and it's even if they weren't my demographic, nobody was like, nobody heckled. I kind of think I would have preferred that. I do good with hecklers. I do good with riffing and going back and forth with people. That's kind of what I'm better at than writing jokes. But all in all, it was fine. It was good to get away and take drives and hang out with my son and my wife and friends and whatnot after everything that I was going through. So I'm not complaining. It was a good time, and thank you, Thomas, for having me. But I don't think I would do it again. I don't think you would want me to do it again either. He said, no, really good stuff. And I appreciate that, but I just don't think that room agrees. I don't think that was my demographic by any means. So I don't know. That's all I got pretty much. I do have a question from, let's pull up the old email from question for the pod. Who would win in a fight, your current physical form or the 19-year-old version of myself? Look forward to the answer. Your most loyal fan, Dark Horse 6. He's not kidding. He really definitely 100%, besides my wife, probably is the biggest outside of this household fan. I mean, that dude. So he'll go to like Buffalo for drill or whatnot, being a captain in the army, whatever. He goes for like 2 weeks. That dude will listen to, like, he lets these episodes pile up, and as you know, if it's solo, it's about 30 or so minutes. If it's with a guest, it's about an hour or so. He'll let them compile up and take like the 4-hour drive and just listen to Chewing the Rag. And I'm like, dude, I would not do that for most people, especially I know my voice isn't great. I'm fully aware of that. I don't like the sound of my voice. I can't imagine listening to me for 4+ hours. So like, he definitely probably is up there for most loyal. He's got the merch, which a couple people do, but I mean, I don't know if anybody's listened to that catalog as extensively as he did. I mean, I'm not doing that, dude. I was like, do you notice a reoccurring theme or anything? Like stuff that I say a lot. And he's like, you say I'm not doing that, dude, a lot. And then there's a couple other things that'll eventually go on merch. I have some ideas. But for now, we're going to do the Halloween catalog. And if you are this far in, we're about a half hour in or so, and you're enjoying it, make sure, again, chewingtherag.com, merch, platform links, share it with everybody, let everybody know, like, check this out, subscribe, rate, all that nonsense on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. We're there. So wherever you are listening, just hit the subscribe button on there, or at least give it a like. Drop a comment. I like comments, especially if you like have comments that are like something that I could read. Let me see here. I have some stuff here, and then we'll get right into Chris's question because that is interesting. That's really not. I would beat the shit out of my 19-year-old self. Are you kidding me? That kid was a little fucking scrawny bastard. I would smoke 19-year-old me. So like, a couple comments we get is like Loco. This comes from Loco Fingerboards 3296. After watching this was Mike Valeni's video, the last podcast that I did. After watching this, I'm starting to get the music itch. I miss playing shows, and also I'm getting the itch to try those gummies. So Mike Valeni has gummies. So he's got tranquilizers in the form of gummies. That's what that is. We talked about it a little bit on his episode, so go check that out and you can see exactly what he's referencing in regards to like watching this makes me miss playing shows. Yeah, I mean, talking to Mike made me miss playing shows, you know what I mean? Like, that's where I met Mike, was through shows. It didn't really hit me that like I've known Mike or known of Mike for probably over 15 years now. Close to. It was probably 2014. I mean, I was going to shows in like 2010, but I didn't know who Mike was. And then a few years later, I started playing them, and that's when you meet like promoters and whatnot a little bit more. And it's 2023 now, going into 2024. So I've known him close to 10, 15 years. So yeah, sitting there and having a conversation with him and talking about like things that, going to shows, and if you don't go to shows, I'm not going to want to book you because I need to see you. You need to harass me. Like, that's all true. Like, I don't really go to shows anymore, and I'm not going to sit here and say I wish I would because I have friends playing in bands I could just go. But it's true, when I was doing shows or doing comedy, like, if you're involved in that community, you need to go out, and nobody's going to support you if you don't support them. So, just hearing him talk about that and hearing how often I was going to shows when I was playing in bands and band rather. Yeah, no, I got that itch too. So, trust me, I'm right there with you, Loco. Not the gummies. I am a bitch. I don't want to. I'll do like a low dose, mostly CBD, a little bit of THC gummy if I'm doing anything to go to bed. But I'm not trying to take those fucking things. Those the horror stories from those, good horror stories. Just like horror for me, probably great for the people chewing them. I'm pussy. It's whatever. His whiskey though, the Smooth Truth whiskey, I'm not pussy for that. I love that stuff. That's right there in the kitchen. I can go grab it, prove it. It's almost empty. So check out that episode. It was really fun. And leave comments like that is what I'm getting at. Because, especially if they're ones like that I can interact with or touch on or anything. I like to make this as interactive as I can. I got the chewingtheragpod@gmail.com where people submit the questions like Chris did. and I've had like user submitted question episodes. Like I love making this thing interactive. It's more fun for me that way because I don't always have guests. So if I don't have guests, what's the next best thing? Talking to you guys and see what you guys feel and how you guys feel. So the Spotify thing, it always has like a poll within the episode. I don't care about that. If you want to take that or, leave a comment on there, you can. I'll read it. But mostly chewingtheragpod@gmail.com is where the questions get submitted. And YouTube is where you can post your comments and whatnot. And I also have a Discord, which is chewingtherag.com has that link. So yeah, make sure you just share it, like, rate, subscribe, whatever. All the social media links are on there as well. And then pick up some merch. We got the Halloween collection. And 19-year-old me. So I had my first MMA fight a few years after turning 19 against a dude named John Parker. And this is another thing with my mom. She was very supportive in everything that I did. So she went to I was talking about bands. She went to a show and saw my little shitty hardcore band. My mom didn't fucking care about hardcore music. She was a rap head growing up. All my hip hop music and whatnot that comes from my family. The first CD I ever had was Onyx's Back the Fuck Up. It was actually a cassette. The first album I ever owned was Onyx's Back the Fuck Up album. So that's my music. The hardcore things like me, that didn't come from that house. So for her to come to that was pretty cool. And then the MMA thing, she drove, she bought the ticket, drove 4.5 hours, whatever it was, to the venue in Rochester. The drive, and then drove 4.5 hours back after I lost in 26 seconds. So I got my ass whooped in 26 seconds. She drove a total of about 10 hours with my aunt, my brothers, cousins, blah, blah, blah. So 19-year-old me thought he was hot shit. Current me, I am hot shit. I'll fuck 19-year-old me up. Are you kidding me? I would eat that dude. That dude was 19. I mean, I was heavy when I fought, and that was a couple of years after. 19-year-old me is fresh off of skateboarding every day and hanging out and shit. That skinny jean wearing motherfucker, I will double that dude. I would eat him. 19-year-old me wouldn't stand a chance. The only thing he's got on me is hand speed, but he's not gonna hit as hard as I do now. He doesn't have the wrestling that I do now. He doesn't know any sort of jiu-jitsu. That dude, he eats a leg kick. He's going to feel it, dude. I'll hit him right in the calf. No shot. 19-year-old me, he's not as intelligent with combat sports. I trained a little bit harder after that 26. So that fight, again, I wasn't 19 when this happened, but, even my debut MMA fight, that happened because of 19-year-old me's mindset. I was I'm a hard ass because I would fight in school and stuff. And then I only graduated a couple of years. I turned 19 a couple of years after graduating. You're 17, 18 when you graduate. So I still had that mentality, and then that carried over into my early 20s, and that's when I got my ass whooped and blah, 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 blah. So whatever. But that mentality of that teenage 17, 19-year-old kid traveled into the cage, and then he fought somebody who could actually fight, He didn't fight just somebody in high school. He fought John Parker, who was 5'7" and shredded. He beat the shit out of he beat the shit out of that kid with that 19-year-old him mindset. So after that, I started training a little bit harder. I found a gym that I could go to because to train for that MMA fight, I just punched a heavy bag in a shed. I literally punched a heavy bag in a shed, and I trained 2 or 3 days a week with a kid in Jake's backyard. So it wasn't anything insane. Trained is that's a loose term I would use after actually training. So shout out to Kai though. He did. He's what kept me in there for even 26 seconds. I knew a little bit. But yeah, 19-year-old me, he can't fuck with 30-year-old me. 30-year-old me would eat that man. So you can ask me questions like that. That's just an example. I will answer just about anything. If it's something I can't answer or I feel like it's all right, that's a little too personal, I won't. But for the most part, I'm a pretty open book. You go back to previous episodes and the things I said about my mom or my family, and then you go to this episode and it's oh, okay, so you exaggerate. No, I don't exaggerate. All that stuff is very on the nose, very true. I just only take those parts of my life. Like, obviously, there's more. Every life has a little bit more to it than what you're fucking seeing at the surface. It's just, I take the funny parts. That's how I deal with it. So, thank you guys for checking out this episode. It was a lot of fun to be back. I don't like missing episodes. At least this time, I had a pretty valid reason. Before that, I didn't really miss an episode. I think I've one since we started this thing. I think we're at about 30. So, I try not to miss any episodes. Hopefully, you guys stick around. You don't think that this thing was ended just because I went silent. If you were on social media or you're in the Discord, then you understood what was going on. So it wasn't really a surprise to you. For everybody else, I'm still here. We're still doing episodes. I realized, I was like, the lighting seems weird. Like, I'm seeing my reflection a lot more in my glasses. I didn't even turn the light on for this. So I'm getting my bearings straight, hopefully this sounds and looks okay, but we're back. We are back, and thank you guys again for checking this episode out. I had fun. It was good to be back, and we'll see you next week.